It's a pleasure to have you here. A dramatic new chapter may be unfolding in the battle against kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism in southwest Nigeria. As communities continue to suffer deadly attacks, mass adoptions, and growing fear, some of the most influential traditional rulers in Yoruba land are now considering an extraordinary response. Frustrated by the persistence of violent crime and concerned about the safety of their people, several monarchs are openly discussing the deployment of ancestral deities and indigenous spiritual mechanisms as part of efforts to confront criminal groups operating across the region. The development comes at a time when insecurity is becoming one of the most pressing concerns for residents, particularly in rural communities where kidnappers and armed gangs have repeatedly struck with devastating consequences. The conversation gained national attention after the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwoshi, urged traditional rulers throughout Yoruba land to explore ancestral means of protecting their communities. Speaking during the grand final of the 2026 Ife Festival, the revered monarch called on traditional institutions to work alongside government authorities in restoring peace and order. According to the Oni, traditional rulers must not remain passive observers while criminal elements continue to terrorize innocent citizens. His remarks have sparked intense discussions among traditional leaders, religious groups, community stakeholders, and security observers, many of whom believe the region is facing one of its most serious security challenges in recent years. The urgency behind these discussions cannot be separated from recent events. Across the southwest, reports of kidnappings, attacks on farmers, invasions of rural sentiments, and assaults on travelers have become increasingly common. The recent adoption of more than 40 teachers and school children in Oyo State shocked the nation and reinforced concerns that criminal groups are becoming more organized, more confident, and more difficult to contain. For many residents, the incident represented more than just another security breach. It symbolized the growing vulnerability of communities that once considered themselves relatively safe from the kind of violence that has plagued other parts of the country. Among the monarchs supporting stronger traditional intervention is the Olowu of Owukuta in Osun State, Oba Adekunle Ayelodu. The monarch stated that traditional rulers are seriously considering the deployment of inherited deities and ancient protective institutions to help combat the wave of insecurity. According to him, many traditional rulers continue to believe in the practice of indigenous spiritual systems, regardless of their personal religious affiliations. He explains that these mechanisms were historically designed to protect communities from external threats and preserve social order. In his view, it would be irresponsible to ignore tools that generations before them relied upon for survival during periods of crisis. Oba Ayelodu also revealed that some communities have already begun taking steps in that direction. He argued that the Southwest cannot simply wait for federal authorities to solve every security challenge, while communities continue to suffer attacks. Instead, he believes local stakeholders must contribute in every lawful way possible to support security efforts. The monarch emphasized that the fight against insecurity should involve everyone, including Christians, Muslims, traditional worshippers, community leaders, hunters, vigilantes, and government agencies. According to him, Protecting lives and property should transcend religious and political differences. A similar position was expressed by the Olowu of Owu Kingdom and chairman of the Ondo State Council of Obas, Oba Ajibade Ogunoye. The monarch argued that African societies possess effective indigenous methods for confronting threats long before modern security institutions emerged. He maintained that there is nothing unusual about combining traditional approaches with contemporary security strategies. In his view, both systems can complement each other in the pursuit of peace and stability. He also renewed calls for the establishment of state police, insisting that local security structures, backed by traditional institutions, could significantly strengthen the region's ability to respond to criminal threats. The Deji of Akure, Oba Aledo Tonyibo Aledo Lucy, disclosed that consultations are already taking place regarding the possible adoption of traditional mechanisms to support security efforts in his domain. He emphasized that any measures taken will remain within the boundaries of the law and would not serve as a cover for illegal activities. According to the monarch, traditional rulers have a responsibility to explore every lawful option available to protect their communities. He noted that many citizens are looking to their traditional institutions for leadership at a time when fear and uncertainty continue to spread across rural and urban areas alike. In Ogun State, the Onimeku of Imoko land, Oba Benjamin Olanatai, said there is growing pressure from residents who want traditional rulers to take a more active role in addressing insecurity. He pointed out that indigenous methods were once central to community defense and should not automatically be dismissed simply because modern security agencies exist. However, he stressed that any intervention must respect the law and fundamental human rights. The monarch argued that traditional institutions possess valuable cultural knowledge that could contribute meaningfully to broader efforts aimed at protecting communities from violent crime. Traditional worshippers have also welcomed the conversation. Prominent traditionalist Afenaye Akinsede stated that many indigenous protective practices have been neglected over the years, despite their historical significance. According to him, various Yoruba deities traditionally serve specific functions, including the protection of communities from invaders and external threats. He argued that the objective is not physical confrontation, but spiritual resistance against forces that seek to destabilize society. Another respected Ifa priest, Ifashenye Atanda, called on Southwest governors to dedicate part of their security resources towards indigenous consultations and interventions. He maintained that traditional systems can provide valuable insights and preventive measures that complement conventional security operations. Meanwhile, the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land and national leader of Oodua People's Congress, Gani Adams, has called for a united approach to the security crisis. According to Adams, insecurity requires both physical and spiritual responses. He urged traditional worshippers, Christians, and Muslims to work together rather than viewing security through the lens of religious differences. His message reflects a growing consensus among many community leaders that the threat facing the region is too serious to allow divisions of rivalries to undermine collective action. Whether these proposed traditional interventions will ultimately play a significant role in addressing insecurity remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that frustration is growing across the Southwest as communities search for solutions to a crisis that continues to disrupt lives, threaten livelihoods, and undermine public confidence. The willingness of respected monarchs to publicly discuss ancestral and indigenous approaches highlights the depth of concern now gripping many parts of the region. It also underscores a broader reality. People are demanding action, not promises, and they are increasingly willing to consider every available option in the search of safety and peace. As this debate continues to unfold, one question is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Has insecurity in Nigeria reached a point where communities must rethink how they protect themselves? Or should the responsibility remain solely with conventional security institutions? The answers may shape not only the future of security in the Southwest, but also the broader national conversation about how best to confront one of Nigeria's most persistent challenges. Stay informed, share this report with others, and subscribe to FirstNet News as we continue to track the stories, decisions, and developments that could redefine the future of security in Nigeria. I'm Chidera Isom. Bye for now.